Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our 10 o'clock news special. My name is Daryl Schmidtson, and I'm here with my co-host, Noam Butkins. Noam, how's it going today?
Things are going very well today, Daryl. The news is very newsworthy today. We've got a lot of stuff on our plate.
Yes, and so our first news on the docket today is there was a children's event held at a church not too long ago, and the child kicked their sibling. It was a terrible thing, and the child ran. The child that was kicked ran into the kitchen where the adults were working and was crying and said that her sister kicked her, and then her sister followed her in and asked, are there going to be snow cones served? No emotion on her face. It was some of the most devastating things I have ever seen. It is truly, truly horrifying to see the no emotion on her face other than asking, will there be snow cones served today?
That is devastating, Daryl. In other news, a new vote was passed that said the intros for the world famous podcast Absurd Arguments have gotten increasingly ridiculous as the months have gone by. This podcast first started recording in June or July. Apparently the guys who run the podcast don't even remember exactly when it started, but they are saying that the intros have gotten ridiculous. Daryl, what do you think about this? Do you listen to this podcast?
Noam, as a matter of fact, I do. The fact that these two individuals, can we even call them men? The fact that these two individuals think that they can kind of do anything on the whim and expect people to laugh and find enjoyment in it, it's definitely disheartening to see that comedy has gone just so low in recent years.
Absolutely. Daryl,
Yes.
The thing is, about the hosts, okay? Nathan and Matthew, I think are their names. They are some of the most ill-prepared people sometimes. They never have a bit truly written out. And apparently the one time they actually wrote out a bit, some people were just not enthused by it.
No, I have. No, as a matter of fact, I have a list right here of most commonly spoken words about that intro. I think they went to a haunted house.
Right. Ridiculous.
I have the words right here. Yes, and the list contains words such as cringy, unfunny,
of course,
weird, and vacuum fetish, which I don't know how that got in there, but I mean...
I think we can sum it up in one word. It sucks.
Indeed.
All right?
Indeed.
Yeah. This podcast it's going too meta, I think, as well. I think they're just trying to do wacky new things, but maybe they're just trying too hard. Maybe they're making up for the fact that this is a hobby for them. It's not a full-time job. And so they're trying to balance it with their lives, the daily responsibilities they have. And that's no excuse, Matthew. They can do better.
You know what, Noam Butkins, I completely agree that such childish, holy, oh my gosh.
Such childishness. Mm-hmm.
Such childish.
Such childishness is uncalled for.
Hold on. Okay.
Childishness.
Yes. Such childishness cannot be put on the internet. And
childishness.
Such childishness. Okay. Noam Butkins, you're absolutely right. Such childishness. Oh my gosh! Such childishness.
Daryl. I'm hearing from our producers right now. Apparently, our news has been canceled. There is no more news for us to share, and so we will now return you to your daily programming, which hopefully isn't that awful podcast, Absurd Arguments. This is Noam Butkins.
Daryl Schmidtson.
Signing off. See you later. Hey, Matthew, what's up?
I'm I'm sad.
Oh, were you listening to that news program right before our podcast?
Yeah,
Like, why would?
they called us cringy, unfunny.
Yeah. Hey, look, for those of you just tuning in, we're Absurd Arguments. I'm Nathan. This is my friend Matthew, and we like to argue about absurd things. And I just think it's ridiculous that they put that news program right in front of our episode of our podcast. That's kind of inconsiderate.
Yeah.
Hey, Matthew, though, at least there's a silver lining. They got canceled, and we'll never have to hear those guys ever again. Anyway, how have things been going for you?
Dude, let me tell you. It's windy.
Whew, that's March for you.
Dude.
You you know what they say? It comes in like a lion, out like a lamb. It's a very windy month, and just to give y'all a glimpse behind the curtain. All right, the way my mind works, Matthew and I have been brainstorming, and we've been wanting to go back to our format of, looking at like three different aspects of something and arguing about it. And I was taking a nap one day, one of my favorite pastimes, and I violently woke up from it, and I had an epiphany, and I was like, we should be talking about tornadoes.
Mm.
And Matthew had just texted me, and he was like, what should we talk about? And I was like, tornadoes. And I just rattled off three things about tornadoes, and wind that we should talk about. And he was so amazed. He was like, beautiful, let's go for it. Like, that was your reaction, right?
No, it wasn't, but we'll go with it.
No. Okay, cool. Um, so yeah, so that's going to be our theme today, is the wind. You can't see it, you can see the effects, you can feel it, but we're going to talk about tornadoes and wind, and we're going to argue about it. Matthew, what was your form of research to help you with your arguments?
Yes, I dove in the trash bin known as Reddit and tried to dig up some things, but let me tell you, the things I have to argue, Reddit was for the opposite in most of them.
Oh, great.
So the few little nuggets I have come from probably the most unreliable sources ever.
Yeah.
But then again, that's one of the reasons why you come to this podcast, is because of how unreliable it is. I mean,
Absolutely.
we did just argue about last episode how Theodore Roosevelt was the most powerful man alive.
He's so powerful. He's so cool. And he's not alive anymore, Matthew. He is dead.
It's for the safety of all the rest of humanity.
The Grim Reaper finally took him out.
Mm.
Yeah. My form of research, which, I mean, real talk, it won't be super detailed. I'll try my best, but because there's just so much. But mine was like movies and TV shows. And so you better believe we're mentioning key things. So just buckle up, get ready,
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, if you don't, you're going to get blown away by the wind.
Yeah, or a tornado, which is like angry wind.
Them naders. Wait.
Yeah.
I don't think I could say that.
I don't think that does seem like a derogatory term. I don't know. The
Let's get out of here. Let's cue the music.
Matthew, before we begin our argument, I have a little funny story to tell you.
Oh.
When we were little kids, my sister often had dreams, and she once had this nightmare, and so she was recounting it to me and my grandma, and she told us that, we were in the car, and we were driving away very quickly because there was a giant tomato chasing us. And
Interesting.
I tried my best to grasp why that would be terrifying because it's just a tomato. And
Hmm.
then my grandmother eventually figured out she meant tornado. And it's just, it's just one of those things that we like to bully my sister about to this day, you know?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But we're not talking about tomatoes today. We are talking about tornadoes
Hmm.
and wind. And so that leads us to our first question. Um, are storm chasers are storm chasers brave or stupid?
Yes.
My position is I think they are brave.
Mm.
Matthew, what's your position?
I disagree. I think that you can do other things and be smart in other ways rather than chasing a storm. But that's just my opinion that I was given.
Okay. Yeah, we all have dumb opinions sometimes.
Hey,
Um,
that's what
I
this
just think,
podcast is about.
right. So I was looking, and to be honest, I didn't have a ton of time to really dive into it because there is just way more out there than I expected. But there are so many TV shows about storm chasers. Okay,
Hmm.
you've got the show Storm Chasers. You've got the another show Tornado Chasers. You've got another show Storm Stories. You have Storm Riders. You have Tornado Hunters. There's so much resources available.
There seems to be a common
Armory.
thing between hunting tornadoes and also hunting ghosts.
Hmm. Yeah, but one is real and another one is tornadoes. And the thing is, Matthew, I love that there's so much material honoring these brave men and women
Mm.
who are risking their lives to capture these beautiful forces of nature on camera.
Oh, I thought you meant like in a net.
No,
Throw
it's a
throw a big
tornado.
net around a tornado. It's like, haha, we got you.
Look, imagine a skyscraper is able to move around and it's also made out of like dust. Are you going to be able to capture that, Matthew? Like,
I
don't be
mean,
stupid.
if you want to get down to the metaphysical principles, that statement is still correct.
Yeah, look, man, it doesn't work like that. I did watch a little bit. So if you go on YouTube, okay,
Mm.
the show Tornado Chasers is like free on YouTube. Most of their episodes.
Oh, interesting.
Highly highly recommend you go watch it. Um, the first episode begins with Reed Timmer. Okay, he's also the star of Storm Chasers as well. But Reed Timmer, he reveals a very poignant truth.
Mm.
He says, we're storm chasers, but sometimes the storms chase us. And now you could interpret the silence among the other cast and crew after he said those words was out of like awkwardness and feelings of embarrassment at his cheesy joke. But I took it more seriously. You know, sometimes the storms are chasing them, Matthew. You know, it's not just about mankind trying to capture on film these beautiful uh, works of God. You know, sometimes the storms go, I want to annihilate that person, and they'll chase after him.
That was the dumbest thing I've heard today.
Hmm. You haven't been awake very long then, Matthew. I'm not finished. What was the greatest movie of 1996?
1996? Let me look. I was only 1 year old at that time, so let's see.
Dang.
1996 movie. Oh, it's gotta be Titanic.
No, Titanic came out in 96.
That's what it says. Popular 1996 movies is Titanic. That's the second one on the list, so that's what I'm going with.
Um, What was the first?
A Time to Kill.
Hmm.
I'm just kidding. That's number 1, 2, 3, 5. Number 6 on
Okay.
that list is Tornado.
Ooh, that was a movie I didn't look up. No, okay. The movie I'm trying to get at is Twister.
Oh yeah, that is the
Okay.
first movie listed, but
Yes, I knew it! Yay! Oh my gosh, bro, like, no lie, that was a bluff right there. I didn't think it would be
it's
number
the
one.
first movie listed. It doesn't mean it was the best movie of
Bro,
1996.
I mean, like, I'm blown away. um, back to Twister. Look, Twister was a movie all about storm chasers, and it's a beautiful work of art. It's about one woman's goal to get revenge on storms after a tornado kills her dad at the beginning of the movie. So no,
Wait a
no
second.
spoilers.
Wait a
But
second. Say that again.
she wants no spoilers
No. What's her goal?
to get revenge on tornadoes because one killed her dad at the beginning of the movie.
She wants to get revenge on tornadoes because they killed her dad.
I mean, I might be, yeah, yep. Okay, so
I
like,
mean, I'll be honest.
yeah,
You know me. I watch a lot
uh
of really bad shows.
huh.
That might be one of the dumbest premises I've ever heard.
Well, okay. The way she wants to get revenge is like, no, I'm gonna kill all tornadoes because that's impossible. But
That'd have made
she
a such
wants,
better movie.
yeah, but she wants to like be able to like research them better so that we know when they're coming. Okay, so like the movie works out. Okay, at the beginning of the movie, this is the one scene. Like without looking it up, I do remember watching as a kid because it
Hmm.
freaked me out because it was like her and her mom and their dog are trying to go into their little, uh, you know, storm shelter, but there's an F5 tornado and it's destroying their farm. And their dad is like locking them in this cellar. And before he can like get in himself, the tornado yanks him away, you know? So I do, it's a very powerful scene. I do remember it. Like, it's pretty terrifying. But in the movie, her estranged husband, they've been separated a long time. He's got a new fiance, and he's just there because he wants her to sign divorce papers. But she has developed a machine called Dorothy. We all know where that's from.
Sorry?
All right.
Excuse me, I
But
choked over that stupid name.
but she's developed this machine that if they can get it close enough to a tornado, it will be able to research the tornado perfectly and help them predict when tornadoes are going to arrive sooner. And so she has like 4 or 5 prototypes, and so it was his
I bet they
idea.
blow.
3 or 4 of them do. Because there's like a herd of tornadoes or something that keep
Hmm.
popping up. And so every time they get to one, it destroys the machine. And finally, an F5 tornado, the type of tornado that killed her dad, that's the final one. And they finally get the machine in the tornado. But like, there's also a villain. That's not a tornado, which is
Now,
surprising.
let's say the main antagonist is a tornado. How can there be a villain?
Yeah, well, it's Carrie Elways, the guy who's like, "As you wish," from Princess
Oh,
Bride.
yes.
He's great. I love that guy. But anyway, he's a bad guy, I think, because he's funded by like corporate America.
Does
And
he have an unhealthy obsession with tornadoes to where he's like, I want to protect all tornadoes from being studied?
oh, that's so good. Oh, that's so good. I wish that was the case.
Exactly, because the movie's
Oh,
stupid.
Nate's not stupid. But
Ugh.
anyway, he also developed a machine, but he's copying their idea. And so he's like, I'm going to get my machine to work first. And so it's more like an Icarus type of situation where he flies too close to the sun, you know, and he also gets eaten by a tornado and killed.
So he
Um,
drove too close to the tornado.
yeah, and it just killed him.
Dang.
But one of my favorite.
Just one speck of dust was going just a little too fast and just right through his head.
No, it probably just yanked him up into it and shook him around a lot. Uh, One of my favorite scenes in the movie, though,
Mm,
is like uh, they're driving along. Oh, and also the guy's fiance is there too,
of
um,
course.
to help him get his estranged wife to sign the divorce
You
papers,
can't you can't have a plot without at least two other subplots.
Right. And she's all preppy. She's not a storm chaser, dude. She's weak. They're-
She's weak. She built these machines by herself. How is she
no, this was
weak?
the estranged wife is fine. I'm talking about the fiance. The fiance is weak.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. She's weak. It's like a fish out of water type thing. She's
Mm,
around these storm chasers and she doesn't fit in, I think. And so they're like riding along this road, and there's these water tornadoes, which are so cool. And they split, so it's like, and they say we got sisters, because there's
hmm.
two water tornadoes now,
Oh,
and they're going along this road beside the lake, and all of a sudden you hear this cow coming in front of their truck flying, and the fiance's on the phone with her friend, and she's like, uh, sorry, Julia, I gotta hang up now. We got cows. And so she hangs up, and the cow goes past. And then, like, another cow comes back, and the estranged wife is like, well, there's another cow. And the husband guy's like, no, I think that's the same cow. And so, so there's just this cow flying around with the twin water tornadoes. It's pretty great. I look, the scene is funnier if you find it for yourself.
I like. I don't mean to dog on older stuff because there's plenty of
Yeah.
newer things that are just as hot as garbage. But man, this movie sounds like it is not good.
Oh, it's so good. It is so freaking good, Matthew.
Is it good for
It's
the right reason or the wrong reason?
you know what do you mean? What do you mean by that?
Is it good as in like the writing, the acting, the soundtrack, the cinematography, all of that blends together to make an incredible movie, or is it really good because it is just so bonkers that it's really really fun to watch because it's just not good quality?
I bet it's just really, really, really fun to watch.
Mm,
You know.
hmm.
So honestly, I think it's a recommended watch.
Interesting.
Um, and and so you can find it on Tubi right now at the current time of this episode. Like, so if you've got Tubi, you can watch it there.
Hmm. Well, that sure took up a lot of time.
Sorry, I love Twister,
So
both the
on
game and the movie.
oh my gosh. So on Reddit, on the subreddit r/WTF, what the heck was that?
I just lost myself for a moment, and I just like,
That old man snort. Oh my gosh. Well,
yeah, sorry, I'm sorry. Let's
anyways,
be going.
strange. So on the subreddit r/WTF, there's a picture of a storm chaser, but he's in just a regular car and he's got his camera tripod out and he's just filming a tornado. But then there's also the guy who took the picture. So you've got two smart people right here.
Mm-hmm.
And so uh, can't say. I didn't read the usernames. I can't say this username.
Yeah, please don't.
Okay. I didn't read the
Matthew.
user. Okay. One Reddit user says photographers chasing storm chasers are insane. Which I mean,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you've got to be insane. And
Right.
then if you scroll down a little bit, you'll find the comment from another individual of whose name I cannot say.
That's
Reddit
fine.
is awful. And it says it's probably the most. It's probably because I've never experienced a tornado or anything like that, but it seems like one of the coolest jobs ever. I would 100% be down to do this someday. It must be
Yeah.
such an epic feeling to be so close to it all. And then another user comes in and says, I thought the same thing until I actually had a tornado touch down in my area. It came right through my neighborhood, tore through my backyard, and came so close to losing my single level ranch house that I never put a new roof on. I'm positive I would have. It missed by mere feet, and the neighbors across the street weren't as lucky, but thankfully they weren't home. I don't have a basement, and the bathroom wasn't a viable option, so the safest place was my very short hall in the middle of the house, huddled with two wiggly cats, scared out of my mind that I was going to be ripped away like the scene in Twister, and no phone service to call my family and tell them I love them. It was one of the most terrifying experiences of my life, and I'm still a little storm shy to this day. So
Mm-hmm.
it's one thing to chase the storm and be like, whoa, that sure is cool. But it's a completely different thing to be caught in that storm, in that tornado, and go, yeah, I want to stay as far away from these things as I can because they are absolutely terrible.
Well, see, okay, Matthew. Let's think about two of the most traumatic jobs we have available:
All right.
firefighting and police work. Being a
Okay.
policeman
Mm-hmm.
or woman. Um, an average person, if their house is on fire, that's a traumatic experience. But
Mm-hmm.
these firefighters are trained to run into burning buildings. We would say, we could look at that and say, wow, what a fool. But we call them brave because they're
Mm-hmm.
doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Same with police officers. If there's a crime being committed, we want to run away from that crime. We want to get out of there. But the policeman runs to the crime usually and takes out the perpetrator, arrests them, or does what needs to be done. And we
Mm-hmm.
would say that's foolhardy, but that's their job. They're putting themselves in danger because they're brave, and just like storm chasers.
You see, but Storm Chaser is not actually. I don't think Storm Chaser is an actual like job.
Sure,
I
it
think
is.
that's I think that's something that people do as a hobby, or maybe they are a scientist or like a meteorologist, and
Yeah.
they just also chase storms, and they have so much equipment and all that stuff. But at the same time, there's really no training because this other Reddit user says my grandfather was caught in a big tornado in his Blazer on the way home, took him up and everything. Come visit Oklahoma for a while and you might change your mind. It get boring real quickly because the storms all the time.
Hmm.
And
The
so
thing is,
it's not that we have professions to where we call people brave. The fact that someone would chase a storm and according to the movie Twister, because that's all I know about storm chasers at this point, is they try to get in the tornado just to put
yeah,
this dumb machine in it. Let me tell
right.
you, that's dangerous.
But Matthew, if I Google the words pictures of tornadoes,
Mm-hmm.
if we did not have storm chasers, we wouldn't have pictures of tornadoes.
Not
Like
That's not
the
true.
page would come up, blank, and it would say something like reasons why you should avoid tornadoes? Is that what you meant? And I'd have to type in, no, Google, please show me pictures of tornadoes. And then it would reply, we don't have storm chasers in this universe.
No, because you can still, there are still beer chugging Americans that will step outside their homes, take a picture of tornado, and then video it as it comes closer to them. And then by the time they realize it, it's like, oh, it's really close. I need to go inside. Gone.
It's just not the same, though. You know, it's the difference between like having a McChicken at McDonald's and then going to like a 5-star restaurant and having a chicken cordon bleu. You know, there's a quality difference there.
Yeah. It's not about
So,
the quality. You just said there will be no pictures. And then I clearly said, yes, there
yeah,
will be.
because I'm going off of your hypothesis. I'm trying to play in your playground, and that's why I said what I said.
What?
I'm building sandcastles in your sandbox. So that's why I said what I said.
That was the worst possible way for you to say it, though.
I'm building Legos in your Lego room. So that's why I said what I said.
Gosh. Well, stupid.
Um,
Anyways, let's move on to the next topic. Because in
Right.
this one, forget what I just said, because I believe that you can survive when you get caught in a tornado.
Right. Well, I believe you can't. And I think that's why I believe storm chasers are so brave.
Mm, well,
That's
now that I'm all juiced up with a good sip of Dr. Thunder, the Reddit page r/self-reliance, you
yeah.
have a user who I can't actually say their name. It is LIS1050010
Okay.
because it's just a bunch of numbers and letters, and that's something I can actually say other than other names. And so
Riveting radio right now.
ooh, man. So he posted a guide of how to survive a tornado, and he goes into very detailed things. And so the first one is surviving in a building. Move immediately to an underground shelter whenever possible, or you stay in a windowless room on the lowest level if you can't go underground. He also gives some places of where not to seek shelter, so mobile homes, tall buildings, open rooms with a lot of windows, or a building with flat, wide roofs, such as a cafeteria or a gym. But then
Yeah.
he moves on to surviving out in the open. So he gives some things of the warning signs of a potential tornado. So you see dark green tinted clouds, loud roaring noises, like airplanes taking off. Then you have wall clouds where the base of the thunderhead seems lower to the ground than it would be normally. Funnels or rotating clouds, and then debris or dust walls. And then if you're in a car, drive, if possible, to the nearest shelter, or stay in your car if there is absolutely no other structure nearby. And he says, stay put until you can drive to safety, and be on the lookout for multiple tornadoes. Again, harkening back to Twister, because again, there
Right.
might be multiple tornadoes if the first one has passed. But for the car, he says, fasten your seatbelt and duck below the window line. Take a coat, blanket, pillow, pull it over your head and back, and hold your hands over your head to protect your skull. Stay away from overpasses and bridges, and move perpendicular to the tornado's direction if you're caught in open water. So you don't want to go straight away from it, because it could let's see, if you're in water, when a waterspout hits, experts recommend trying to avoid sailing at right angles to its path and not straight away from it, because if a waterspout is about to hit the boat, it'll probably be best to just dive overboard. And if you're on land and the waterspout is very close to the shore, you are not necessarily safe. They can come on. on land. And so it's just a very, very long list of how you can survive a tornado.
Right. Um, Look, if the beginning of Twister taught me anything, it's that if the tornado wants you, it wants you. You
Mm,
know, and you're gone. Matthew, all the stuff you listed from this person was great,
mhm.
but they forgot one key thing. Sometimes you don't need to worry about the tornado killing you, but a house. A house could kill you, Matthew. Case in point, Wizard of Oz. All right?
Of
What
course.
happens to Dorothy? Dorothy and her beloved dog Toto. Okay?
She
For
gets swept up in a tornado and survives.
she okay, her house gets caught up in a tornado.
Hmm.
Okay? Sometimes, Matthew, it's the tornado must take one life before it can disappear. That is the law of tornadoes, I think. And so the tornado swept up the house and it was trying to get at her. It was like, I got to get you, my pretty, you know? And it just couldn't get at Dorothy and her dog. And so
Hmm.
it was like, what's the next best thing? I'm going to transport her to Oz. And I'm going to drop this house on some witch, the Wicked Witch of the East. And boom, dropped it right on this lady, killed her, you know?
Hmm.
And the true hero was not Dorothy. Like all the munchkins were excited and happy, you know, the Lollipop Guild is there. They're all singing these songs about her and worshiping her, you know, as their new their savior, the person who saved them from this wicked witch. The true hero was the tornado because it was like, I got to kill something. There's nothing close by. I'm going to take her to a whole new world, drop her on this witch.
Sure, sure, but Dorothy survived.
Dorothy survived. Yes, but what I'm trying to say is the
You're
tornado
no, what
still
you're trying to
killed.
say is that no one can survive a tornado, and Dorothy clearly did. Your argument is invalid. Next question.
Okay, fine. Our next question. Our next question is can you use the wind? I mean, wait. Can you use like umbrella or balloons or things like that to survive riding on the wind? And Matthew, I've
No,
got a ton of ammo for this one.
is that so? Well, I
Uh
also have 2 Reddit pages.
huh. Oh gosh, that's two more than I expected you to have. Okay, here's the thing.
Hmm.
There are three key movies. Three key movies, all childhood favorites. Okay, but in different eras. So
Okay.
starting off, we're going way back in the past to one of my favorite characters of all time, one of the best cartoon characters ever, Winnie the Pooh. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
What did he do? He got his little balloon, he just flew up into the sky and was able to get to the beehive and get the honey he needed. Okay?
Okay.
That's one. He was able to do that. All right? Two, Mary Poppins. All right? Referenced in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, Mary Poppins was in
Mm-hmm.
her movie in the 60s
Mm-hmm.
and she flew in on her umbrella. The east wind brought her in and she just floats down. And that's when she's like, "Okay, kids, I'm here to give you medicine with sugar in it and stuff." Um, and so she was able to ride the wind. And then probably the one thing that popped into everybody's mind as soon as this question was mentioned, the movie Up. With that movie is about a square shaped old man.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he's depressed because his wife died and he has no
Mm-hmm.
kids,
Mm-hmm.
and he has his house in just this really big city, and they're going to tear it down, you know.
Yep. As they should.
And you son of a gun. Um, and so what he does, he's like, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to travel to South America, which is strange. Usually it's the other way around, them wanting to travel here. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But he's
No,
like, I'm
because
going to
it's in
travel
South
to
America.
yeah, I'm going to travel to South America, and his genius idea is he just attaches 1,000,000 balloons to his house, and it lifts up the small house, and he just rides the wind down to South America. And
Hmm.
there's also a Boy Scout there, and there's like a dog they find later.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it was
Wow.
a powerful film.
Wow. So, Nathan, the three things that you listed,
Yeah,
um, they're all fictional movies.
I don't um I don't know what that has to do with anything.
As a matter of fact, every single movie you've mentioned is a fictional movie.
What? No,
How how
no.
how am I supposed to take your argument seriously if all you do is like check this out and it's a fictional movie?
um Matthew. The
Hmm.
thing is, movies are a reflection of reality. They are a mirror that we
Okay.
look into,
Okay.
and so some of these mirrors are things like, hey, if you got a big enough balloon, you could fly in the wind, like hot air balloons, dude.
Well,
Those float on the wind.
it's funny you mentioned that
Um,
because in the Reddit page r slash what could go wrong, there
right.
is a hot air balloon that is trying to take off in mild wind. And let me walk you through this video. The hot air
Okay.
balloon is actually in a place surrounded by trees. So
Yeah.
he's already in a terrible spot. Because if you are going to go in a hot air balloon, it needs to be in a wide open space. And let me tell you, the people that are in this basket, there's like 6 of them. So it is a full basket. And so the
That's a
hot air
full
balloon,
basket.
huh?
I said that's a full basket.
It is a full basket. What? Never mind. Anyways, and so as the hot air balloon begins to lift up, and that fire is roaring to create the hot air up into the balloon. Of course, it hits a tree. Now you might be thinking, "Oh, well, the tree's going to catch on fire." No, the basket actually gets tilted to a, a
Oh
45
no.
degree angle to where it is like the people are like holding on for dear life. And as the shut up train, shut
Hey,
up,
hey,
shut up,
leave the train alone.
fight me train, I'll lose but I'll fight you anyways, like
No,
Andrew
leave it
Jackson.
alone.
Come at me, bro. Anyways,
Bro,
so as the
back
hot air
away.
balloon begins to go up over the trees, the basket gets tilted so far that the people you can see the people like holding on for dear life to not fall out of the basket.
Oh.
And then the basket clears the trees, but you know what else is around the trees? A
Um
building with so many statues on the top. And the basket, the
oh.
balloon begins to rise over the building, but the basket hasn't cleared yet. And so the force driven, being held back by the trees, it pulls the basket forward and it hits the building. And as it hits the building, it begins to rise over the building, hits the statue, and knocks the statue off of the building, causing so much destruction, not just to the statue, it obviously shattered, but also to the street that was below it. And then the hot air balloon begins to slowly rise because it's like, oh, finally, we're in open air. But let me tell you, this wouldn't have happened if there was no wind. Also, this wouldn't have happened if he had actually, taken off in a clear area where there were no trees or any other obstacles in the way. But this wind really hindered the fact that these people could have fallen out and seriously been hurt.
Yeah. That's uh phew. That's pretty rough. The problem is they should have maybe had umbrellas, uh, or maybe like helium balloons instead.
Mm,
Um, I that that's what I think. You
uh
know.
huh. Uh huh. Well, in the funny you mentioned umbrellas. In the subreddit
Oh,
r/bike commuting, there is a user who says, "It's been rainy since the weekend where I live in Amsterdam, and I've been doing a lot of riding with an umbrella. And it got me wondering, where else is it popular if anyone else does it here?" And he even linked the umbrella that he uses. Um,
Hmm.
and it is a pretty stylish looking umbrella from Sins, and it's really angular. It's also waterproof,
Ooh,
but aren't umbrellas
I
supposed to
thought,
be waterproof?
yeah, I thought that's like one of those unnecessary things you need to put in the description.
Right.
It's like, I
And
sure hope
so,
so.
yeah. And so he rides his bike with an umbrella. And I just want to say
Yeah,
this man is defying physics
right?
because he rides a bike, creating, his own little wind of the air pressure being pushed against him and going up into the umbrella. And he constantly rides a bike with an umbrella.
Yeah, I don't know, Matthew. Some laws are meant to be broken, and the laws of physics has been like it's been around for way too long, man. It's time to break it.
Oh, yeah, it's true.
Look, we already broke the law of gravity by inventing airplanes. You know?
Did we, though?
Yeah, we refused to be just on the ground.
Mm.
Did anybody have any comments about it?
I mean, yeah, but they all don't support my point.
Oh.
They're like, oh, this seems like a really dangerous solution with
Yeah,
to a problem that is more adequately solved with just a jacket or poncho. And
right.
then I was in Portland, Oregon about a year ago. Portland's famous for rain and bicycling, and a lot of people were wearing ponchos and rain capes.
Oh.
And but then there's this one guy who says, "I grew up near Portland, and you can tell a non-Portlander because they're using an umbrella." And so
Ooh.
apparently, if you use an umbrella while riding a bike, then you're not from Portland.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
everyone else in the world uses umbrellas. No one uses an umbrella in Portland.
Portland keeps it weird, man.
Mm, it's
You
the
know,
strangest of
that's
people.
they are.
But then
But
someone else says, "I do wonder about the wind resistance on those capes."
hmm, it's got to
Yeah,
be some good wind resistance.
I don't know. Because I
But
mean, in the movie Incredibles, Edna Mode, when Mr. Incredible walked up and, "Hey, I need a new super suit," and she's like, "Great, we can't have capes." And then she showed all these different reasons of superheroes that were, you know, doing their stuff and they had capes and they were killed because of their capes.
yeah, I mean, but we're arguing about umbrellas and balloons being able to ride the wind.
That's true.
Are you trying to argue that capes are just a poor man's umbrella?
Hmm. I will
Maybe
say
that
it's
train
still
is.
not. Dude, I freaking shut up. Go somewhere else, train. It's a city ordinance that you're not supposed to blare your horn at this exact cross intersection, and you continue to boo 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 boo. Freaking shut up. Anyways, I'm mad now. I don't want to talk about this anymore. I want to talk about how much I
Yeah,
hate trains. I think
and that's
trains were the worst thing ever invented because Americans were like, how are we going to build all these railroads? Oh yeah, slave labor.
hey, we've got to be careful, not only because Big Train may be listening, but also because of all of the young men out there who are obsessed with trains. All right?
It's just
Dude, trains,
it's literally this train was painted orange and red. You know what else is depicted as orange and red? Satan himself.
I was about to say your face in anger because you're mad at Big Train.
Holy crap, am I Satan?
I hate to break it to you, Matthew, but you are Satan.
Dang it, I'm even drinking a red Dr. Thunder can.
Oh
Gosh.
gosh. What a fitting Matthew can okay, folks at home, let's applaud Matthew for not only being willing to argue this absurdity, but fitting the theme with even his beverages. I'm just drinking water here, but Matthew, y'all, he goes above and beyond. We're talking about storms. We're talking about wind. What comes with wind? Thunder. What kind of drink is there with thunder? Dr. Thunder. That was Matthew's thought process, and I applaud you for it.
Thank you.
I really do. Hey, a moment of silence for all the people applauding at home as well. Way to go, folks. Oh, that applause is beautiful, Matthew. Wow.
Yeah. The only thing that could make this episode even better is if it ended.
Oh, I agree.
Let's go ahead and cue the music. Well, folks, as we are slowly just dipping into madness,
Right.
we want to remind you how you can tell us how terrible or great we're doing by emailing us at absurdargumentsforyou@gmail.com. And that's absurdarguments, the number 4, the letter U, at gmail.com.
And honestly, I think it would be fun if people sent in clips of them saying the word childishness, just to rub it in Daryl's face that he can't say that.
Look, dude, when I was little, I had an accident to where I lost both of my 2 front teeth.
Okay.
And I didn't have my 2 front teeth from age 2 till about age 6, which is also when you learn how to speak. And so I had to learn how to say words without my 2 front teeth. And there are some words I have such a hard time pronouncing, even all these 20 plus years later. I still have a hard time pronouncing words. Okay? You don't gotta come at me with that. I know I have trouble speaking sometimes, and I talk for a living.
I could imagine you in those formative years. Every Christmas was your favorite because you would constantly sing this song and plead that all you want for Christmas is your 2 front teeth.
Dude, it was 4 years of absolute terribleness because every single time you can look at my kids, we're going way off topic, but I got to address this. You could look at my pictures when I was a kid and you could clearly see this little child does not have 2 front teeth. It was so bad. You could stick 2 straws in my mouth and right where my teeth should be.
Bro, did your parents just not notice?
I was taken to the hospital because there was blood everywhere because, my 2 front teeth I wasn't supposed to lose those baby teeth for another couple years, and just all of a sudden, boop, they're gone. Blood was everywhere. There's a reason I do not like going to the hospital, Nathan.
Same, but...
I was traumatized when I was a child.
I shouldn't laugh, but it's so funny.
And then when my 2 front teeth eventually grew in, they grew in so wildly that I went to an orthodontist and he said that, and I quote, I had the worst overbite he had ever seen.
You were like a beaver.
So until I was in middle school, I had no 2 front teeth, and then I had the worst beaver teeth known to man. And that is how I learned to talk. So yes, I can't say childishness if I try to speak in a normative, regular pattern. All right, you don't gotta bully me on this, man.
Of all the things to reveal to me, why would you trust me with this information?
This is going on the internet, Nathan.
Oh, Matthew.
Anyways, we're on
Hey,
Facebook and Instagram.
yeah, we have an
Absurd
email.
arguments.
We mentioned that already, didn't we?
Yeah, we got an email. That's all the time we have for today. Nathan, what are your final thoughts? Great. That's the episode. We're ending it here. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Into the different comments.
Okay, yeah. Start from the guy was breaking the laws of physics.
Okay. And so the guy was breaking the laws of physics.
What's with these airport bathrooms?
What's the deal with airplane food?
I hate you.